I was born a liar. That was the label my mother stuck on me. All because she believed absolutely in raising children through science. From the moment my twin sister and I were born, she put honesty bracelets on our wrists. The moment we told a lie, the bracelet would light up red, and mother would press the remote to release an electric shock as punishment. My sister's bracelet was always green. Even when she cut up mother's dress and said the cat did it, her bracelet only blinked softly with a gentle green glow. As for me, I only had to say a single sentence. Mom, I'm hungry, and my bracelet would instantly flare red, followed by an electric current that tore straight through my heart and guts. At first, I tried to defend myself. But mother said machines don't lie. She said pain would help me remember. And that she was doing this for my own good. After thousands, no, tens of thousands, of electric shocks, even I began to believe that I had been born a liar. That New Year's Eve, mother was getting ready to take my sister to watch the fireworks. A violent pain suddenly exploded in my stomach. I curled up on the floor, crying for help. Mom, my stomach hurts so much. Please save me. But the bracelet went mad, flashing red over and over. Mother stood above me, watching as I lay drenched in sweat. She turned the voltage all the way up. Just because you want to go watch the fireworks with us, you pretend to be sick? Your rotten nature really never changes. She turned around, took my sister by the hand, and slammed the door shut behind them. I couldn't stop myself from thinking that maybe mother was right. The bracelet was red. That meant I definitely wasn't in pain. I was lying again just to get attention. I'm sorry, Mom. In my next life, I will definitely learn how to be an honest child. It hurt so much. My entire body convulsed with pain. My fingernails scraped against the floor, leaving pale white streaks. Suddenly, the doorknob turned. A flash of light burst in my vision. Mom came back. She's a doctor. Surely she'd noticed something was wrong with me. She came back to save me. Still not better? The fireworks are about to start. Chen is waiting impatiently. Mother spoke weakly, one hand resting on the doorframe. Mom, I really hurt. It feels like my intestines are being torn apart. She glanced at the bracelet on my wrist, which was flashing red violently. Mother squatted down, grabbed my chin, her voice full of anger. Chu Tin Ha, how long are you planning to keep acting? Lying has become second nature to you. Stay home and reflect on yourself properly. Dad's voice urged from the doorway. Honey, hurry up, the fireworks are about to start. If Tin Ha isn't coming, forget it. Why not leave her a little food? Mother stood up and brushed her hands together, as if she'd touched something dirty. Leave what? Her cabinet is full of snacks. She stole money to buy them last time. She won't starve to death. Lock the door. Don't let her out until the bracelet turns green. Dad hesitated slightly. But what? A kind father raises a spoiled child. Look at Chen, so honest. Her bracelet is always green. Tin Ha is rotten at the root. She has to be corrected. But my cabinet was empty. That time, it was my sister who took the money. The snacks were eaten by her too. She just stood beside me, her bracelet glowing a gentle green, and said, "It wasn't me." Mother believed her immediately. When I tried to explain that I hadn't taken anything either, the red light came on, and I was electrocuted on the spot. I watched Mother's back as she walked away. My sister poked her head through the crack in the door and made a face at me. Bye-bye, big sister. We're going to watch really pretty fireworks. Her bracelet glowed a fresh, beautiful green. Bang! The door slammed shut, the lock clicking loudly. The house fell silent, leaving only me and the sawing pain in my stomach. It hurt so much. Mom was right. Machines don't lie. The bracelet was red, so I must be lying. I wasn't in pain. I really wasn't in pain. I cried as I hypnotized myself over and over. I don't know how much time passed, but it seemed the pain really wasn't that bad anymore. Using the last bit of breath I had left, I staggered toward my desk. I had to write a self-criticism. That was the rule. As long as the red light was on, I had to write 1,000 words. I am a liar. After I finished writing, Mom would forgive me, right? She'd take me to the hospital, right? Trembling, I opened that battered, tattered diary. Every page was packed with past self-criticisms. Before, I always wrote apologies. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I won't lie again. But this time, I wanted to write a little truth. My vision grew blurrier and blurrier. Crying, I poured out my last strength and wrote. Mom, I really love you. I hurt so much. Why don't you believe me? Mom, can you please believe me just once? When I finished the last word, the violent pain in my stomach suddenly vanished, replaced by a lightness I had never felt before. My body felt weightless as it floated upward. I looked down and saw myself slumped over the desk, one arm hanging limp in midair, completely motionless. The bracelet on my wrist was still flashing red like it had gone insane. So I'm dead after all. But I still haven't learned how to be an honest child. I'm sorry, Mom. I was jolted awake by laughter, my parents' voices and my sister's. The fireworks were really beautiful tonight. Especially that smiley face. It looks just like our Chen Chen. There was a gentleness in Mother's voice I had never heard before. I hovered in midair, watching the front door open. Even as a soul, I instinctively flew over to greet them, wanting, like before, to help them take off their shoes. That instinct to please others had been carved deep into my bones. Mom. I spread my arms, wanting to hug the woman carrying the chill of the night air. I don't hurt anymore. I'll be good from now on. Please don't be angry anymore. But my hands passed straight through her body like an untouchable gust of wind. Mother frowned slightly. Why does it feel so gloomy and cold in here? Didn't we turn on the heater? I froze, staring at my transparent hands. That's right, I was dead. The dead can't hug the living. Go check on Tin Ha. That child still hasn't come out to eat. Don't let her starve. Dad said it casually. I looked at Mother with desperate hope. If she found out I was dead, would she be sad? Would she regret it? Mother snorted coldly, changed her shoes, and walked toward my room. Serves her right if she starves. Pretending to be sick just to get attention, that's what comes from being spoiled. She shoved my door open without turning on the light. By the glow from the living room, she saw me slumped over the desk, unmoving, like I was asleep. Oh, still lying face down there? Mother crossed her arms, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You think pretending to look pitiful like this will make me carry you to bed? Chu Tin Ha, you're 10 years old now, not 5. I hovered beside my body, screaming. Mom, I'm not pretending to sleep. I'm dead. Mom, look at me, touch me. My body was ice cold. But she couldn't hear me. She only believed what she could see. My sister slipped out from under Mother's arm, lifted her wrist proudly, and showed it off. Big sister is lazy. Mom, look, my bracelet is green. And hers is still red. She's always lying. She even lies in her dreams. Mother stroked my sister's head. Our Chen Chen is still such a good girl. Don't pay attention to that lying child. Just leave her lying there. If she's capable, let her lie there for the rest of her life. Dad poked his head in from behind. How about carrying her to the bed? Carry what? Mother cut him off sharply. Kids these days are all spoiled rotten. The parenting experts already said it. At times like this, you have to use cold treatment. She must be made to realize her mistake on her own. She pointed at the red light. Look at that red light. It proves her current psychological state is still extremely resistant, with absolutely no remorse. Enough. Go to sleep. We still have to go to my parents' place to pay New Year visits tomorrow. Mother turned decisively and closed my bedroom door once again. Click. The sound of the lock echoed. I floated beside my body, staring at that blood-red dot of light in the darkness. The cold in my heart was deeper than death itself. Mom, if you would just step one step closer. If you would just touch my hand. You would realize I'm already ice cold. But she didn't. She believed that cold Heartless machine, more than the daughter she carried for 10 months and gave birth to in pain. In the middle of the night, a mouse crawled out of the empty cabinet. I used to be terrified of mice. Every time I saw one, I would scream, but now, I could only float near the ceiling, watching it run wild over my body. Go away. I weakly tried to shoo it off, but no sound came out. The mouse bit into my toe, oozing a bit of dark purple-black blood. I felt no pain anymore. That's good. Finally, it doesn't hurt anymore. I looked down at that pitiful body and whispered softly, "Don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt anymore anyway. It'll all be over soon." Early the next morning, sunlight shone onto my body, but it brought no warmth with it. Clatter, clatter. Sounds came from the kitchen. Mother was making breakfast. The smell of fried eggs drifted in through the crack under the door. Normally, that was the smell I craved the most. But I was only allowed boiled vegetables, because Mother said liars didn't deserve to eat meat. Today, she deliberately made the spatula scrape loudly against the pan. I knew she was doing it on purpose, to tempt me. To make me unable to resist. To force me to crawl out and admit my mistakes. In the past, I probably would have given in for a fried egg and admitted to sins I never committed. But now, I didn't need to eat anymore. "Hasn't Tin Ha come out yet?" Dad asked while reading the newspaper at the table. "No," Mother replied coldly, stubborn as a mule. She slammed the plate down hard. All because she's been spoiled. If she wants to eat, she eats. If not, then starve. My sister drank her milk. Her eyes rolling slightly, she deliberately ran to my bedroom door, sniffed exaggeratedly, then screamed theatrically, "Mom, big sister's room stinks. Did she poop in her room again?" I floated in front of the door, staring bitterly at my sister. "The heater is turned up too high. Just one night, and I've already started to rot. Mom will hate me even more now." Mother frowned and walked over. "Shoo Tin Ha." She banged hard on the door, shouting angrily, "Are you a pig? The bathroom is right next door. Did you break your legs? You even dare to poop in your room? Useless thing, just because you argued with me. You don't even want your dignity anymore?" I remembered when I was little, once I had acute enteritis and couldn't make it to the bathroom in time. I soiled my pants. Mother not only refused to help me wash them, she forced me to stand in the yard as punishment, humiliating me in front of the neighbors. She pointed at me and said, "Look at this child, dirty like a pig." Now, she thought I was dirty again. Disgusting. Mother waved her hand in irritation, like shooing a fly. "Just let her stay in that stench. Let her rot to death," Dad said, putting down the newspaper. He frowned deeply. "The smell is really heavy. I'll go take a look. Maybe a rat died in there or something." Dad stood up and walked toward my door. My heart lurched. "Dad, open the door. Please, look at me. I'm right behind this door. Just turn the handle. You'll see me lying there, motionless. You'll see my face has already turned dark." I floated in front of him, waving my hands frantically, trying to get his attention. Dad's hand touched the doorknob. Ring, ring, ring. The phone rang urgently. It was his company's leadership calling. Dad answered, and his expression changed instantly. "What, the server is down? Okay, I'll be right there." He hung up and hurriedly grabbed his coat. "Honey, something urgent came up at the company. I have to go now. I might not be back for the next few days." "Hey, Tin Ha." Before Mother could finish, Dad had already slammed the door and left. I froze. Just a little more, just 1 second. If that call had come 1 second later, I would have been discovered. Then maybe, I wouldn't have had to keep rotting inside. That afternoon, Mother took my sister out shopping. The house was left with only my body. By evening, they came back carrying bags in both hands, expensive seafood and gift fruits. The moment they stepped inside, the stench was stronger than before. Mother covered her nose and even gagged. "Shoo Tin Ha, Are you trying to turn this house into a garbage dump? She didn't even want to open the door to scold me, as if one more glance into that room would dirty her eyes. She found a big roll of tape, squatted down, and viciously sealed the crack under my door, layer by layer. If you like rotting, then rot in there to your heart's content. Don't suffocate us. After taping the final layer, Mother brushed her hands together in satisfaction. Finally, some peace and quiet. She turned and went into the kitchen to steam the seafood. I stared at the door that had been completely sealed. The last bit of hope in my heart suffocated beneath those layers of tape. So this was it. In Mother's heart, my life or death mattered less than a lavish seafood meal. She sealed me in and still couldn't be bothered to check whether I was dead. Mom, you win. I'll never trouble you again. On the morning of the third day, winter sunlight streamed into the living room, but it couldn't chase away the gloom in this house. The floor heating was turned up high, the temperature reaching 26 degrees Celsius. The tape could no longer block the smell. It was a thick, greasy stench of decay, so nauseating it made people want to vomit. Mother was trimming the fresh flowers she'd just bought, but no matter how strong the floral scent was, it couldn't cover the smell of a corpse. Snap! She cut off a rose stem too hard, the thorn piercing her finger. At last, she couldn't endure it anymore. In her mind, I hadn't bathed, had relieved myself in my room, and had even hidden dead rats inside, all to provoke her. To challenge her authority. Chu Tin Ha, you're really asking for too much. Mother rushed into the kitchen, grabbed the rolling pin, and stormed toward my room. Today I'm going to beat you to death. You filthy thing. Looks like electric shocks aren't enough to discipline you anymore. You need to feel some real pain. I floated in front of her, waving my arms frantically to stop her. Don't go in, Mom, don't go in. I'm ugly now, I've rotted, you'll be traumatized. Even if she didn't love me, I still didn't want her to see me like this. But she walked straight through my soul. With one hand, she ripped off the tape sealing the door. Rip. The sound of tearing tape was sharp and grating. She shoved the spare key into the lock and twisted hard. Bang! The door flew open violently. A thick wave of foul air rushed out, hitting her in the face like opening Pandora's box. Mother staggered back, gagging. Chu Tin Ha, what kind of hellish game are you playing now? She lifted her head and saw me still slumped over the desk in the exact same position as 3 days ago. My back facing her, not moving an inch. In her eyes, that was silent provocation, arrogance taken to the extreme. I'm talking to you, can't you hear me? You're pretending to be dead now too? Rage exploded in her head. She rushed forward in a few strides, raising the rolling pin high, but she didn't strike immediately. She wanted to yank me up first. She wanted to see what kind of stubborn expression I was wearing. Get up. Her hand viciously grabbed the back of my collar. Her fingers touched my skin. In the next second, her movement froze. The instant she touched me, time seemed to stop. Through the thin pajamas, what her fingers felt was not warm skin, nor a soft living body, but a slab of dead flesh. Ice cold, hard as stone. That cold penetrated straight to the bone, carrying no trace of life. Huh? Mother froze briefly, but inertia made her continue pulling. My body was yanked backward, dragging the chair down with it. Bang! The chair crashed to the floor. My body, stiff like a statue, fell straight down. My face was finally revealed. No longer the timid little girl she was familiar with. My complexion was dark purple-black. My eyes bulged. My facial features were twisted and distorted from the unbearable pain before death. Dried white foam clung to the corners of my mouth, mixed with dark, congealed blood. On my darkened wrist, the honesty bracelet Mother once took such pride in hung limply, lifeless. The skin beneath it had been burned by electricity, fused with the blackened rubber strap. There was no red light. No green light. Only deathly silence. Thud. The diary that had been pressed beneath my arm slid out with the fall of my body and landed at Mother's feet. The notebook lay open, facing her directly. On the page, crooked lines of handwriting stabbed into her eyes like sharp knives. Mom, my stomach really hurts. The bracelet is broken. I'm not lying. Don't shock me. Hey! A scream tore out of her, inhuman, shrill, as if her throat were being ripped apart. Mother staggered back, her back slamming into the bookshelf behind her. A vase fell and shattered across the floor. But she seemed unable to feel any pain at all. Her eyes were wide open, fixed on my body lying on the ground. No, impossible. She shook her head wildly. Her hair was disheveled, like a madwoman still insisting this was just a performance. Just makeup, just special effects. Chu Tin Ha, stand up for Mom. Mom won't blame you anymore. Don't scare Mom. I won't blame you anymore. Don't scare me. Her hand trembled as she reached out, trying to pull my stiff arm. But the instant her fingertips touched that ice-cold skin, it was as if she'd been burned. She yanked her hand back violently. That sensation. It was far too real. That was the temperature of death. The neighbor, Aunt Lee, had already called the police. She was frightened by Mother's screaming and ran over. The moment she saw the scene, she collapsed straight down in the doorway. Soon, police sirens echoed throughout the residential complex. The police arrived. The forensic examiner arrived. Yellow tape was pulled up. I watched them come and go. Watched the flashes of cameras flicker endlessly across my body. Mother was helped by a female officer onto the sofa in the living room. She was still babbling incoherently, desperately trying to argue with the police. She was faking illness. She's liked lying since she was little. The bracelet was red. Machines never lie. I was just disciplining her. I did it for her own good. No one paid her any attention. Everyone looked at her with the eyes reserved for a monster. When the forensic team tried to move my body, they ran into trouble. That bracelet, because of prolonged high-voltage shocks, had generated so much heat that the rubber strap and my flesh had melted together. Fused as if it had grown directly into my wrist. Damn it. The coroner cursed under his breath. He had no choice but to use tools to forcibly remove the bracelet. Rip. The sound of flesh tearing apart. Even though I had been dead for a long time, my soul still felt a sharp stab of pain. The bracelet came off together with a chunk of my skin and flesh. A police officer picked up the diary from the floor, put on gloves, and flipped through the pages. His face grew paler and paler. Mother's eyes were glued to that notebook. Suddenly, she went berserk and lunged forward, trying to snatch it back. That's her self-criticism. There must be something written in there. She admitted to lying. Look. She admitted it herself. The police shoved her back and sealed the diary into an evidence bag. Their gaze was cold, like they were looking at a pile of trash. Whether she lied or not will be determined by the investigation. At that moment, Dad rushed back. He saw the black body bag being carried out. The long zipper slid shut, closing the entirety of my life. His legs gave out. He collapsed on the spot, losing control of his bladder. My sister stood nearby, screaming in fear. She still didn't understand what had happened. She pointed at the blood-stained bracelet on the table and asked innocently, "Mom, why is Big Sister's bracelet black? Mine is still green." She raised her wrist. The green light blinked steadily, one flash after another, like a massive, cruel mockery. The police began preliminary questioning right there in the living room. Mother clutched at this moment like a final lifeline. She pointed at the bloodied bracelet, her voice shrill. "Officer, check that bracelet. That bracelet proves she was lying. Red means lying. I only shocked her when it was red. I never abused her. The machine showed it. I did it to educate her." The officer frowned at her, as if looking at a lunatic. "Ma'am, the victim's body shows multiple old electrical injuries. That is punishment. That is abuse." Mother screamed, cutting him off. To prove she wasn't wrong. To prove she wasn't a murderer. She even made a deranged request. You don't believe it? That device is very accurate. I'll wear it for you. I'm not lying. If I put it on, it'll definitely turn green. She rushed to the table, grabbed the bracelet still stuck with my blood and flesh. Ignoring the horror entirely, her hands trembled as she forcibly locked it onto her own wrist. I'll prove my innocence. As long as it's green, it proves everything I said is true. Click. The clasp snapped shut, the cold rubber pressed against her skin. Sticky, wet. That was my blood. Mother took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. She was desperate, to prove I hadn't died unjustly. To prove her parenting methods had never been wrong. She raised her wrist in front of the police. There was even a trace of manic certainty in her eyes. Look carefully. I am Zhao Lan. I am Chu Tin Ha's mother. That is the truth. The absolute truth. Beep. A piercing alarm sounded instantly. The red light, silent for so long, suddenly flared violently. Red, blindingly red. Red, eerily vivid. In the dim living room, it was like a blood-red eye snapping open. Mother froze. The confidence on her face solidified and cracked. She slammed her hand against the bracelet, like hitting a malfunctioning television. What's going on? Is it broken? I'm telling the truth. I am Zhao Lan. Dad panicked, his speech accelerating. It must be broken. The coroner damaged it earlier. Let me try again. I'll try again. He swallowed hard, his voice rising. I didn't abuse my child. I did it for her good. I loved her very much. Beep, beep, beep. The red light flashed even more violently, so fast it blurred into a solid crimson glow. Detecting extreme heart rate abnormalities, the bracelet automatically released a weak electric shock. Zap. Mother convulsed violently, her hand clenched hard. It hurt. Even a weak current was enough to make goosebumps erupt all over her body. Suddenly, she remembered, when I was 10 years old, when I was shocked at the highest voltage. My whole body curled on the floor. I bit my lip until it split open, but I didn't dare cry out loud. So it hurt that much? Mother completely lost control. She screamed madly at the bracelet, saliva spraying everywhere. Why is it red? Why? I'm telling the truth. It should be green. You piece of trash machine. You're framing me. No matter how she screamed, the red light continued flashing like crazy, silently laughing. You are a liar. You are a liar. Enough. The technical officer finally spoke coldly. He truly couldn't watch anymore. Stop testing it. This device was never a lie detector to begin with. He picked up the instruction manual found during the search and slammed it onto the coffee table. This is just a simple galvanic skin response and heart rate monitor. Its principle is simple. When a person feels tension, anxiety, fear, or pain, their heart rate increases, electrical response intensifies, and the light turns red. Right now, you are extremely frightened and anxious. Your heart is racing. It would be strange if it wasn't red. He stepped closer to Mother, who was sitting collapsed on the floor. Each word was like a sledgehammer smashing down on her skull. Think back. At that time, your daughter's appendix had ruptured. She was in so much pain she was rolling on the floor. That was internal organ rupture pain. How fast do you think her heart was beating? How terrified do you think she was? In your eyes, the more pain she was in, the faster her heart beat, the brighter the red light became. And you thought that meant she was lying even more, so you increased the voltage. The stronger the electric shock, the more pain she felt, the faster her heart beat, the brighter the red light. You personally turned your child's cries for help into a tool of torture. You personally electrocuted your daughter to death while she was begging for help. Mother's world collapsed. She sat there blankly, staring at the red light flashing on her wrist. Only then did she finally understand. For 10 years, every single time my light turned red, it was because I was afraid. Afraid of her anger. Afraid of being misunderstood. Afraid of the dinner table filled with foods I hated. I was in pain. Pain so intense my heart raced out of control. cold sweat pouring down. I longed for my mother's embrace. Longed to be held the way she held my sister. Every signal from my heart was interpreted by her as proof of my guilt. Mother suddenly let out a wail of absolute despair. She began tearing at the bracelet on her wrist like a madwoman. Take it off for me. It's red. I'm not a liar, I'm not. But the clasp, forced on violently and already damaged, was jammed tight around her wrist. No matter how she pried at it, it wouldn't come off. It won't come off, it won't come off. Tin-ha, take it off for Mom. Mom was wrong, it hurts so much. This little bit of pain is unbearable? Mom, I endured it for 10 years. To verify the details of the abuse and determine charges, the police opened the diary, listed as key evidence, right in front of my parents. The notebook I had written in for 10 long years. 10 years filled with humiliation, blood, and tears. The female police officer's voice was very soft. Yet every word stabbed straight into the heart. June 14th, Sunny. Today, Mom put celery on my plate. I'm allergic to celery. If I eat it, my throat swells and I can't breathe. I said I couldn't eat it. I felt very uncomfortable because I was afraid Mom would get angry. My heart was beating very fast. The light turned red. Mom said I was being picky and lying. She forced me to finish the whole plate. That night, I vomited blood. My throat felt like it was on fire. Mom saw it and said I had secretly drunk tomato juice to fake being sick. Then she shocked me with electricity for 10 minutes. Mom covered her mouth. Her whole body trembled violently. That night, she truly thought it was tomato juice. She hadn't even looked closely at what I vomited. She had already turned away and started chatting with my younger sister. It turned out it was blood. Blood from my swollen throat rupturing. The police officer flipped to the next page and continued reading. June 1st, Children's Day. My younger sister ruined Mom's dress. Her heart rate was slow. The light stayed green. I hurried to explain because I was afraid of being beaten. The light turned red the entire time. Mom shocked me for 10 minutes. The power was turned up to level 5. It hurt so much. But I didn't dare cry. Because if I cried, my heart would beat faster. Mom would think I was resisting. She would shock me harder. I could only hold my breath and pretend I wasn't in pain. Mom said, "You're not even screaming. That proves it doesn't hurt. You must be faking." At last, Dad couldn't take it anymore. The man who had always been invisible in this house. The man who ignored everything I went through. Who only knew how to hide and stay safe. He suddenly rushed forward and slapped Mom hard across the face. "You vicious woman. Look at what you've done. That was your own daughter. You raised her like an animal." Mom was hit so hard that blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. She collapsed onto the floor. But she didn't fight back. She didn't cry. She only muttered unconsciously, her eyes shattered and unfocused. "It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault." Suddenly, she pointed at my younger sister, who was trembling in the corner. "It was your sister. And her bracelet was always green. She was the honest child. I was led by her. If I hadn't had that green light to compare against, I wouldn't have trusted the red light so much." Everyone's gaze turned toward my younger sister. The little princess who had always been cherished in the palm of everyone's hand. A police officer stepped forward. He removed the green bracelet from my sister's wrist and immediately pried it open with a screwdriver. Crack. The plastic shell split open. Inside, there was no sophisticated sensor. No heart rate monitor. Only 2 cheap LED bulbs and a few button batteries. The circuit board was hardwired shut. As long as there was power, it would only light up green. "This is just a plastic toy worth 2 yuan. The officer tossed the pile of junk onto the table. It made a sharp clatter. The bracelet worn by your younger daughter was set at the factory to always show green. No matter what she said. No matter what she did. Even if she killed someone or committed arson. It would still be green. This so-called scientific parenting of yours was nothing but biased nonsense from beginning to end. Mom stared at the broken plastic pieces. The green light she had trusted as absolute truth for 10 years turned out to be nothing more than a toy. Because of this toy, she had spoiled my sister for 10 years. And because of that damned red light, she had tortured me for 10 years. Ha. Ha ha ha. Mom suddenly burst into laughter. A miserable laugh. A laugh uglier than crying. Fake. All of it was fake. I killed the most honest child I ever had. And raised a liar instead. She was insane now. This time, truly insane. My death became a case that shook the entire city. Auntie Lee, the neighbor, a kind woman and an incorrigible gossip, posted everything she witnessed online. The headline was explosive. Little girl electrocuted to death by scientific bracelet. The post described in detail the condition of my body. And the bracelet melted into my flesh and blood. One stone thrown into the water stirred up 1,000 waves. Public outrage swept across the internet like wildfire. Mom's personal information was dug up and exposed. Electrocution demon. Cold-blooded murderer. A woman like this doesn't deserve to be a mother. Endless curses fell like winter snow. Red paint was splashed across the front door. The word, die, was written everywhere. Dad was also taken in for investigation. For negligence resulting in death. Although he ultimately avoided prison by proving his absence. He lost his job. His reputation was destroyed. The company fired him immediately to avoid trouble. The family went bankrupt trying to compensate and pull strings. The house, the car, everything was sold. Dad couldn't stand this madwoman anymore. He took the remaining money and left with my younger sister. Even if she's a rotten egg, he said, she's still my last flesh and blood. Before leaving, my sister tried to take the green bracelet with her. Dad stomped it to pieces. Why keep that trash? She cried as she was dragged away. Mom was released on bail pending trial. The psychiatric evaluation showed severe schizophrenia and PTSD. She was left alone. In a rented room filled with the smell of death. And horrifying memories. Isolated from the world. Her mental state deteriorated day by day. She always felt I was still in the house. She refused to remove the red bracelet. In fact, she became dependent on it. She discovered that only by wearing it, only by feeling the numb shocks of electricity, could she temporarily ease the guilt in her heart. It was a sentence she had passed on herself. I floated silently in the room, watching her descend into madness day by day. She cooked a full table of dishes, turned toward empty air, and called out loudly, "Tin Ha, dinner's ready. There's no celery today. It's all braised pork, your favorite." Then she picked up a piece of meat. Her hand trembled from anxiety. The red light flashed again. Beep. She laughed like a lunatic. My heart's beating fast again. I'm lying again. I don't deserve to eat. Liars must be punished. She put down her chopsticks, picked up the remote, and pressed it against her neck. Zap. Even though the battery was nearly dead, no one knew where she found fresh ones to replace it. The current made her body convulse violently, foam spilling from her mouth. Yet she smiled in relief. It hurts. That's good. So this is how much it hurt. Tin Ha, wasn't it? I'm sorry, my child. I feel it now. Mom began reenacting everything I had written in my diary, using it to punish herself. I was shocked because I wouldn't eat celery. She forced herself to eat spoiled, moldy rice. She ate until she vomited blood, yet still forced herself to swallow it back down. I had once been locked in a dark room, Now, she locked herself inside my room instead, refusing to turn on the light. In the darkness of night, she knelt before my portrait. One bow after another. Her forehead soon split open, blood flowing freely, splattering the floor in dark red stains. In the middle of the night, she saw the red light from the bracelet reflected on the wall. Like a pair of blood-soaked eyes staring straight at her. She flipped to the back of my diary and, with a red pen, wrote frantically, madly. I'm sorry. Mom was wrong. Red light means pain. Red light means love. Please come back. Scream in pain. Just one more time. Mom will save you. But I was already dead. The dead do not scream in pain. In the end, she was sent to a psychiatric hospital for severe self-harm. She had nearly electrocuted herself to death at home. The authorities were forced to intervene and place her under mandatory treatment. She became the strangest patient in the hospital. No one knew where she found a red plastic bracelet, locked tightly around her neck. It was a bracelet she had made herself. Anyone who tried to remove it would be bitten savagely, like a rabid dog. Don't touch my light, she would scream. Tin Ha is watching. If you take it off, she'll be angry. She developed a deeply obsessive conditioned reflex. Every time a nurse asked, True Lan, have you eaten? She would immediately clutch her neck, her entire body shaking, and scream. Red light, red light. Don't shock me. I'll eat, I'll eat. Even if it was porridge hot as fire, she swallowed it in one gulp. Even when her esophagus burned and ulcerated, she didn't dare spit it out. She is reenacting everything I went through before I died. She used this method to relive my hell again and again. Years later, my younger sister grew up completely twisted by neglect and indulgence. Carrying an irredeemable stain, she drifted at the very bottom of society. When she ran out of money, she remembered the mother still alive in the mental hospital. She went to visit, not out of affection, but for money. That crazy bitch, she snarled. Dad's dead, give me the money you hid back then. My sister wore heavy makeup, her face full of malice. Looking at Mom's ghost-like appearance, she spat in contempt. Disgusting. Just like your damned older daughter who died. If you don't give me the money, I'll pull the tubes out and let you die down there with her. Mom, who had been lost in a haze, suddenly lifted her head. Those cloudy eyes snapped into clarity the moment she saw my sister. She remembered the toy bracelet that always glowed green. That green light that had deceived her for 10 years. It was you. Her voice was hoarse, like sandpaper scraping flesh. You tricked me. You were the fake green light. You killed Tin Ha. Give Tin Ha back to me. The last trace of maternal love turned into claws of vengeance. Mom suddenly sprang up and lunged at my sister, both hands locking around her neck. Die. Die. The one who deserves to die is you. Help, help. My sister thrashed in terror. But she couldn't escape the strength of a madwoman. Only when doctors rushed in and injected sedatives did they manage to pry Mom away. My sister fled in utter panic, barely clinging to life. Madmen. All of them are mad. She bolted out of the hospital gate. Bang. A speeding truck couldn't brake in time. My sister was thrown aside. She didn't die. But both legs were completely shattered. For the rest of her life, she would be confined to a wheelchair. A true cripple. Mom was strapped to a restraint bed, tears silently streaming as she stared at the ceiling. In her dreams, she finally met me. In the dream, I was still 10 years old. No bracelet. A white dress. I smiled brightly and ran toward her. Mom was overjoyed. She opened her arms to hug me. But then she realized. Her hands were crackling with electric sparks. The moment she touched me, my body ignited like paper, turning to ash. She woke up screaming, her heart rate skyrocketing. If she had still been wearing the bracelet, it would have been blazing red. That was her eternal pain. I stood in the void, watching everything unfold. Watching my mother be tormented in the psychiatric hospital. Watching my sister beg on the streets with broken legs. Watching my father deteriorate, fall into alcoholism, and die young. I felt no satisfaction, no sense of revenge fulfilled. Only silence. A stillness as flat and lifeless as stagnant water. Beside me stood an old dog, Tiu Bok. The dog I raised as a child, later thrown away by Mom. He had been waiting for me in the spirit world. Tiu Bok rubbed against my leg and barked softly twice, as if saying, "Let's go. Don't look anymore." "Yeah," I said. "It's time to go. This life was too painful. There's nothing left to miss." I floated to the door of Mom's hospital room for a final farewell. Mom lay on the bed, gaunt and with hair completely white. She seemed to sense something. Her cloudy eyes focused on a point in the air, right where I stood. "Tin Ha, is that you?" She trembled as she reached out blindly. Mom smashed the bracelet. "I don't believe in that thing anymore. Can you come back? Mom will cook for you. No celery. I'll buy you new dresses. I won't buy any for your sister anymore." Tears slid from the corners of her eyes, soaking the pillow. I glanced at the deep red marks on her neck and sighed softly. I reached out, my cold fingers gently touching her forehead. "This is the last mercy I will ever give you. Sleep. Once you sleep, it won't hurt anymore." She immediately went still. Her eyelids grew heavy and closed. She fell into a deep sleep. A breeze passed through the room. The old diary on the bedside table was flipped open by the wind. It was the item the police had returned. On the last page, beneath my final words written years ago, were several new, crooked lines. They were written by Mom during a rare moment of clarity. "In the next life, let me wear the bracelet. Let me be the liar. Come punish me. Just don't abandon me. I'll do anything." I looked at those words without a ripple of emotion. It was too late. All repentance spoken after death is pale and meaningless. "Mom," I whispered, "I don't hate you anymore. But I don't love you anymore either. In the next life, let's not meet again." I turned and took Tiu Bok's paw. In the distance, a door of light appeared. The entrance to the cycle of reincarnation. Before leaving, I raised my wrist. The ghostly bracelet still lingered on my soul. The nightmare that imprisoned me my entire life. I clenched my fist. Crack. It shattered, dissolving into countless star-like particles, fading into the air. For the first time, I felt truly light. No red light. No electric current. No lies. Only freedom. I stepped toward the door of light without looking back. Morning sunlight streamed into the room. A nurse pushed the door open for her routine check. "True Lan, it's time for your medication." No response. The figure on the bed was motionless. The nurse stepped closer, and froze. True Lan was clutching the shattered diary tightly in her hand. At the corner of her eye rested the last clear tear. On the heart monitor beside the bed, the waveform representing life had become a single straight line. Beep. That's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to China Story Tales, and stay tuned for more stories.